Hey, what's up everyone? Trent here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how I went from being a Brokie to earning multiple six figures by age 26 working in tech sales. But first, let's start with an analogy. Asking if tech sales is a good career is like asking if you would rather sit in the front of the plane or the back of the plane. You know that feeling after a long flight, you finally arrive on the runway, you get cell phone connection, you text your person, yeah, I'll be out in a second, but you forget. Everyone sitting in front of you on the plane has to slowly funnel out of their seat. There's a baby crying in front of you. They need to grab their items from the top bin. You're starting to sweat a little bit. You're hungry. You're irritated. And you just want to get off the plane. 20 minutes later, you finally get off the plane. But if you do tech sales right, you can afford to pay the extra $50 upgrade on Southwest to sit in A1 through A15. That's what I do every time, and that's been possible because tech sales changed my life financially because I started out making about 50 grand a year and I was able to make $302,000 in W2 income at age 26, my best year. So in today's video, I'm gonna talk about the 3 criteria that I evaluate any career choice on so that you can look at it through the perspective of tech sales, but also any other job you may be considering, or if you're looking for a career change, you need to look at the job based on income potential, autonomy, and fulfillment. Everyone wants to feel fulfilled by what they're doing, but I want to make a lot of money in the process, so let's talk about all 3. If you also like to make money, hit the like button now so that this message can reach more people. Let's begin by talking about income. When you think about a job, typically you get paid based on trading your time. So when I first started working, I was a pizza chef. I worked in the back of the house and they said, Trent, you make pizzas whenever this ticket comes in and we'll pay you $11 an hour. I was happy with that. I would work 6 hours, 7 hours. Sometimes I would work overtime. I'd have to clean the kitchen. And what I had to do was, it was labor and I had to use my hands and it was stressful. I'd get yelled at and I'd put all the food away and then an order would come in 5 minutes after we've closed and I would have to get it all back out. I didn't like doing that because my time was directly linked to money. So when you look at what type of job or career you want to be in, you got to look for a performance-based career. Most people make the mistake where they go be accountants, they go be lawyers, they go be doctors. They may make hundreds of dollars per hour, but ultimately you are constrained by 24 hours in a day. Most realistically, 8 to 12 hours in a day. That's how many most people are working. So if you make $100 an hour and you work 10 hours a day, you've earned $1,000 in a day. Okay, that's not bad. But if you work in tech sales, you get paid that fixed salary based on just showing up. So for example, for me, I think my salary is $109,000 a year. In addition to your salary, you get what's called commission. So you get paid based on performance and it's your variable income. So in addition to the fixed salary that is confined based on time, you also get paid based on how many deals you close, how much revenue you bring into the business. Typically it's 10% of all revenue you close. So if you close $1 million in business, you'll get paid 10% of that, which is an extra $100,000. And the reason why this is so important, although you may be thinking, well, Trent, that's less than the doctor example, you can spend 1 hour to close a $1 million deal. Although it may not be realistic, you can spend 1 hour to work on a deal that could be $10,000 total, or you could spend that hour to work on a deal that could be $10 million total. So the bottom line is you have more leverage with your time because you've de-linked time from money in a sense, because you can work on bigger accounts and bigger deals. So if I had to rate tech sales income 1 to 10, I would rate it an 8 because it's a performance-based career and it's better than any other job where you just get paid a baseline fixed salary. The next criteria to look at whether a job or career is great or not is autonomy. There's a book by Daniel Pink called To Sell is to Human, and he talks about what do people look for and what do people need in a job to remain engaged and to want to bring their full self to work. And on one hand, it's having autonomy, meaning you are your own boss in a way. In tech sales, you will have a manager, assuming you're an individual contributor. You'll meet with your manager weekly. You'll have a one-on-one just to talk about, hey, how was your weekend? How are you doing? And you will also have some sort of deal review. So reviewing how you're doing in performance, what they can do to help you be more successful. And the beautiful thing about tech sales is that if you are a top performer, if they know that you're good, if you build a lot of trust, which is why job hopping is not good because you lose trust. It's hard to build relationships when you're constantly going to new work environments. If you prove yourself as the guy, all of a sudden you start to have more autonomy, and they just message you on Slack and they say, hey, can you get in your deal review? We can push up for a one-on-one today. We don't need to meet. Anything you need? No. Okay, cool. So you're basically your own boss, and you decide when you clock in and when you clock out. All that matters is hitting the number, in addition to the autonomy piece with the leadership being your own boss. Being able to work wherever you want is also incredibly important. I know a lot of people talk about remote work. Hey, I want to be a digital nomad. If you are looking for a career path to do that, for example, maybe you want to travel international, it's going to be challenging if you're in a different time zone than your customer. But ultimately, when you are selling software, it's in the cloud. It's online. It's through the internet. I only went on one on-site throughout my entire 5-year software sales career. I closed bigger deals than I did when the deal I closed on site, because you just meet with people, you call them, they're across the nation, set them up on a video conference, you give a demo. So when 2020 and the pandemic happened, it was actually okay for business because we didn't have to go into the office. We didn't have to go meet with customers to begin with. Meanwhile, a lot of non-tech sales jobs, so for example, real estate, you have to show up to the house to sell it to the people. You are location non-independent. With tech sales, you have some independence because you can work wherever you want, whenever you want, so long as you're getting the job done. And then finally, mastery, in addition to the autonomy, meaning sales is a skill that is incredibly valuable in the marketplace. And so long as you can sell, you will always be in demand. These companies want to pay you so that you can then come make the company more money. And in my opinion, it's a skill worth pursuing mastery for. So I'm always asking myself, how can I get better at sales? And I would rather get great at sales than get great at being a janitor, for example. So if I were to rate tech sales on the 1 to 10 autonomy scale, I would rate it an 8. The third criteria to evaluate whether a career job is great or not is the fulfillment. People talk about, okay, should I work to pay the bills, or do I need to work for a higher purpose? Many people in America are working simply to pay the bills because they are working in a labor manual profession like where I started my career track out. The reason why tech sales is incredibly fulfilling is because it's a knowledge-based profession. You get paid to think. Anyone can pick up the phone, anyone can be given a phone book and call all day. But what separates the great tech sales reps from the average tech sales reps is that the great tech sales reps are able to critically think. They're able to look at a company, understand the industry, financial services. Okay, well, how does a bank make money? Do you know much about the net interest margin spread? Okay, well, I didn't know much about that until I sold them to banks. You need to understand, how do they make money, and then ultimately, how can my solution help them? And if you find fulfillment through achievement, if you find fulfillment through helping customers, building relationships, if you just want to find fulfillment by making a lot of money, realizing we live in an economic world and income is the ultimate bottom line scorecard, you can get all the above in tech sales. So I would rate it on a 1 to 10 scale of fulfillment. I would rate it a 6, because on one hand, it is fulfilling because you control your destiny, which I really like. If you perform, you're always going to be in demand. The company will pay you a lot and they want you. But on the other hand, it's of course a what have you done for me recently profession. I hit my quota my first 9 consecutive quarters as an account executive. And then when I finally missed quota after having not missed it for 3 years, all of a sudden I had this extra pressure on me. All of a sudden they were saying, okay, Trent, what's going on? What are you doing here? And I deserved it because ultimately it's all about what have you done for me recently. But you start to realize at the end of the day, you are ultimately just a number, and they can hire another sales rep to replace you. Everyone is replaceable, and never forget that. So I would say if you want greater fulfillment, you need to figure out a way to work for yourself, to be an entrepreneur or solopreneur, create a business for yourself, have some sort of ownership where everything runs through you and you have complete control of your freedom. But bottom line, I think tech sales is a great career. And if you're sitting there wondering, okay, well, this sounds interesting, I do want to learn more. If you want to learn from someone who's actually done it, who got hired at a leading software company with absolutely no experience, no connections, right out of college, a fast-growing tech company that ended up going public, I will teach you how. I produced a 17-hour comprehensive course that is the #1 leading tech sales course on the market. I'm the instructor at CourseCareers. We've helped over 500 people get hired in tech sales year to date. So if you are interested in learning more about tech sales, what do you do, how to get started, why may it or may it not be right for you, you can click the first link in the description below to check out the free intro course. It's over 90 minutes of content. And based on that, if you want to then invest in the full course, my link below has a $50 discount link included in it. Feel free to message me on LinkedIn with any questions you have. I'm an advocate for tech sales because it completely changed my life financially, as I talked about. And you would not believe some of the stories we have on there of folks going from janitors, folks going from warehouse employees, folks going from selling shoes in a mall to all of a sudden, less than a month later, getting a $60,000, $70,000 a year tech sales job. It's completely transformative, and it gives hope as to what is ahead in the future. I personally want to believe that my future is going to be greater than my present because it inspires me and gives me hope. So I hope you have hope as to what is ahead for your future. Like the video now if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more sales content, and I will talk to you in the next video.